Indiana Newsdesk is made possible in part by the following: IU Health Southern Indiana physicians, primary care and specialty care providers, now accepting new patients in Bloomington and throughout South Central Indiana. siphysicians.org. The IU School of Education, preparing teachers, scholars, and administrators to improve teaching and learning in Indiana and around the world. More at education.indiana.edu. Smithville Fiber, the Gigacity Company, fiber internet, HD, and digital IPTV in Southern Indiana. More information at smithville.com. And by WTIU members. Thank you.
Coming up on Indiana Newsdesk. Some Hoosiers facing criminal charges sit in jail until their trials simply because they can't afford to pay bail.
People are just like losing their lives over this thing, literally losing their ability to participate in this economy.
We'll explain how an Indiana Supreme Court rule could change that. Ahead, the president's visit to Indiana to tout his tax reform plan and Senator Joe Donnelly's reaction. As FBI investigations rock the college basketball world, the Indiana men's basketball program opens practice. Coming up, first-year head coach Archie Miller addresses whether the scandals will affect IU.
And have no reason to think that Indiana's involved in anything right now.
Those stories, plus the latest news headlines from across the state, right now on Indiana Newsdesk. Welcome to Indiana Newsdesk. I'm Joe Wren. Well, most people facing criminal charges in Indiana can await their trials outside of jail if they have the ability to post bail. Indiana's Constitution defines bail as monetary, but a state Supreme Court rule will move away from that long-standing practice and allow counties to release some people without requiring a bail payment. The rule is already in practice as part of a pilot program in several counties and will eventually go statewide. As Barbara Brozier reports, some say it's the first step towards significant bail reform.
Gerard Barnes knows firsthand how sitting in jail for a few months can impact a person's life.
I lost my apartment, in that time period, so many things was lost. Credibility was lost, opportunities to make money were lost.
He was behind on child support when officers put him in jail and had to come up with $3,000 bail to be released. He was able to scrape together the money with the help of his brother, but says many people in Indiana don't have that ability.
How many people can come up with $3,000?
Barnes is part of the Indianapolis Congregational Action Network, which has been pushing for bail reform for years. He's applauding the Indiana Supreme Court for its work and issuing a rule last year that will lead to changes across the state.
When you deal with bail reform, then you're talking about people who are the most marginalized going to jail, not being able to make bail, and then sitting there for a week, 2 weeks, 6 months, coming out, having lost their jobs, having lost their apartments.
The new guidelines for bail in Indiana are outlined in Criminal Rule 26 and urge counties to consider someone's risk when determining their pretrial release instead of focusing on money. The goal of the rule, in part, is to eliminate the unfair and often protracted incarceration of poor people who don't have the resources to purchase a bail bond or pay a bail deposit.
So we're trying to get more information to judges to make more informed decisions at the time of pretrial release, that it doesn't just come down to if they've got the funding, so that low-level nonviolent offenders will not serve significant time pretrial before they're convicted.
Several counties across the state are already putting the rule into practice through a pilot program, including Bartholomew County.
It's not just a technical change where we change a process, we're changing a mindset.
The probation department here typically works with people after they're convicted of a crime, but is now doing pretrial risk assessments to determine whether monetary bail should be required in each case. They've even trained officers in the jail to help do some of the assessments as soon as someone comes into custody.
We have 2 staff members we've hired who will actually do another risk assessment and a report for the court. So that when the person goes to court for the very first time, the court has some information about their risk, their offense, and can make some decisions. And then we have some guidelines that helps the court and the prosecutor and the jail make all of those decisions.
The new system means someone who committed a low-level offense, doesn't pose a risk to the community, and is likely to show up for court appearances may no longer have to pay money to be released from jail before trial.
There is research to show that if you take a low-risk person, and so low risk means they're going to come to court when they're supposed to and they're not going to commit crimes when they're out during the pretrial period. If you leave a low-risk person in jail for 24 hours around other high-risk people, their risk to commit a new crime during the pretrial period goes up.
Meek says money shouldn't dictate whether somebody sits in jail. He says Criminal Rule 26 really asks counties to go back to how bail is supposed to be used.
If you look at this in the traditional sense, and so go back like to the Magna Carta, right, and look at this in the traditional sense, bail always meant release, no bail meant detain, and there's always been a presumption of release, and we've gotten away from that by letting money dictate instead of risk dictate.
But money is also why there's been some pushback about expanding the rule statewide, which is supposed to happen in 2020. Many counties use bail money to help fund their probation departments. That's the case in Monroe County, which is also part of the Criminal Rule 26 pilot. Chief Probation Officer Linda Brady says she got grant money to help with the additional costs associated with providing more pretrial services and assessments. But that money isn't guaranteed long term.
The state needs to step up with some money for this, because with pretrial you don't have the money bail, there isn't going to be the user fee collection that we're used to and we've kind of developed in Indiana.
And some question whether the rule is necessary at all. Down in Vanderburgh County, the prosecutor says he's worried it could be applied too broadly, resulting in some people being released from jail who shouldn't be.
We run into really two types of people that should be incarcerated. People that are truly dangerous. You know, I mean, if you're hurting people, if you have a deadly weapon, if you're shooting at people, those types of things, you have a certain level of crime where somebody's really dangerous and you're concerned that they're going to hurt themselves or others. And the other is really your habitual offender. You know, I mean, if you have somebody that gets arrested on a theft, then you would expect them to bond out pretty quickly. They get arrested on their second theft, they get arrested on their third theft. By the time they get arrested on their 10th or 15th theft, you know, you've got to wonder. You've got to wonder what kind of damage is being done when you're releasing them.
He says there's already pressure to quickly move pretrial detainees out of county jails because of widespread overcrowding. So he doesn't think anyone in Vanderburgh County is behind bars simply because they can't afford bail.
It's gotten to the point where judges are taking that into consideration on their bonds. They're setting their bonds lower. When somebody's in for a week or two, they lower them even more. Just because we don't have enough physical space to house the people.
But Barnes says the Supreme Court's rule is a good first step in moving away from a monetary bail system altogether. And while it may cost counties some money up front, he says it's worth the long-term payoff.
What these counties are going to find is if they implement a positive, comprehensive criminal justice reform process, it's not going to cost them nearly as much money to put people in jail.
For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm Barbara Brozier.
Now, Criminal Rule 26 was originally supposed to go statewide in January, but legislators and the Supreme Court pushed that date back to 2020 so they can gather more data from the pilot programs and work out any kinks. Now, there is another group that isn't too happy about this reform, the bail industry itself. The American Bail Coalition says similar changes in other states have ended up in court.
We've seen issues with risk assessment tools around the country, not only how good are they, but questions about race and gender neutrality. Because Indiana's tool uses demographic factors, I think it's probably vulnerable to challenge.
So here to talk more about criminal justice and bail bond reform is Miriam Northcutt, an assistant professor of criminal justice at Indiana University. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
So do you have any indication about how many people, or even just in general, who are sitting in Indiana jails right now just because they can't afford bail?
So we have really good numbers nationally about who's in jail pre-conviction, meaning they haven't been convicted of a crime, they're not waiting sentencing, and those numbers are 6 and 10. So roughly 60% of people nationally are in local and county jails because who have not been convicted of any crime. So we generally assume then that they're there because they can't pay to get out of jail. I'm hard-pressed to think of a reason why you'd want to stay in jail if you could afford to get out. When you're in jail, you have higher risks of communicable diseases. You're at very high risk of losing your job. The average jail stay is about 23 to 28 days nationally. So just think about all of those things that can happen when you're away from your life for 23 to 28 days. People report losing their homes, losing access to their children, being physically and sexually assaulted in jail. All sorts of bad things happen. So I'm really hard-pressed to think that those 6 in 10 people would stay if they could afford to get out.
Is this part of a larger reform throughout the country, not just in Indiana, in terms of not posting monetary bail?
Right. So recently a few other states have looked at moving away from monetary bail. Now, the Washington, D.C., not quite a state, has moved away from monetary bail since 1992. And they report 90% success rate in getting people to show up to court and not commit new offenses, which are the goals of bail in addition to protecting the presumption of innocence. So Washington, D.C. has been at it a while, but New Jersey is implementing a program, or implemented a program in January, very similar to what Indiana will have. And as of July, they reported their jails were decreased about 20%. Other states, California, Connecticut, Maryland, are all ones to keep an eye on too, who either are considering it or have recently implemented a similar program.
So do you think that Indiana can then successfully implement this criminal rule 26 statewide?
I don't see any reasons why it couldn't be implemented here. And just talking to a couple people, it seems like it's just a matter of policy, implementing the right policy, trying to figure out how to train people to use the risk assessment tools, making sure the funding is shifted to where it needs to be. So while the story you showed covered that it's expected to save money in the long term, there are some short-term costs, some upfront costs, and it might shift money from jails who are currently housing people to probation who need to supervise them.
All right, thank you very much for being here. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Well, as FBI investigations rock the college basketball world, it's business as usual at Indiana University. This year's Indiana Basketball Media Day started with a different tone after this week's FBI arrests over alleged pay-to-play schemes throughout college basketball. First-year Indiana head coach Archie Miller says he has no reason to think Indiana is involved.
We're focused on the task, so to speak, at hand, which running this program was clearly defined, I think, on day one, and the expectations of doing things the right way.
Some of the FBI investigation centered on sportswear manufacturer Adidas. Miller says IU's relationship with Adidas has been great and the basketball program looks forward to continuing it.
Ready, 1, 2, 3.
The team's first official practice is Friday afternoon. They have 6 weeks to prepare for Indiana State. Miller says he's been most impressed with senior guard Robert Johnson.
Just make everyone realize that you don't get to your end goal, in September or November. You have to, work every day.
Hoosier Hysteria kicks off IU's basketball season October 21st at Assembly Hall. Coming up next on Indiana Newsdesk. President Trump flies to Indianapolis with Senator Joe Donnelly to try and sell him on his tax reform plan. Ahead, why the GOP is zeroing in on Donnelly. And it's looking like a nice weekend to get outdoors. Coming up, how you can get into the state parks free. These stories and more right here on Indiana Newsdesk.
We are a nation of explorers. We seek new ways of living, of thinking, and of expressing ourselves. We take risks, we learn from experience, and we keep moving forward. That's why we encourage and celebrate the explorer in all of us.
Welcome back to Indiana Newsdesk. President Donald Trump stopped in Indianapolis this week to tout his new tax and to convince Democratic Indiana Senator Joe Donnelly to vote for it. The GOP is targeting Donnelly because, as a moderate Democrat in a Republican state, he's more likely than most senators to join Republicans in support.
President Donald Trump called the GOP's tax reform plan a middle-class miracle as he rolled out details in a speech in Indianapolis this week. Trump said tax reforms passed in Indiana before and during Vice President Mike Pence's time as governor should be a model for national change.
It's time for Washington to learn from the wisdom of Indiana. We need Washington to promote American jobs instead of obstructing them.
Trump said workers, farmers, small business owners, and the middle class will be the biggest beneficiaries of those changes and of simpler, lower tax rates. And he singled out Senator Joe Donnelly, who's up for re-election next year.
If Senator Donnelly doesn't approve it, because, you know, he's on the other side, we will come here, we will campaign against him like you wouldn't believe.
Political experts say he won't just be facing pressure from Republicans to support the plan.
In Indiana, we saw the acceleration of the elimination of an estate tax, and so the idea that a lot of folks who maybe own very valuable land, farming land, would be in a better position is something that Donnelly will have to be thinking about.
For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm Tyler Lake.
And now for headlines, we go over to Lindsay Wright. She's in for Barbara Brozier this week, and she has the latest on this week's top stories.
Thanks, Joe. The City of Bloomington and Cook Group want to enter into an agreement that will allow the company to make yearly payments of $100,000 in exchange for Bloomington agreeing not to annex Cook properties that sit outside of city limits. The agreement in lieu of annexation is capped at $1.5 million over the 15-year period.
The $100,000 payment is real money that the city is going to have over the next few years that we may not have had. Even if annexation had gone through, there wouldn't have been any increased payments for several years.
If the council approves the deal, the money will be deposited into the city's general fund. Hamilton says the agreement came about after Cook Group's recent announcement that it will spend $6.5 million to purchase the old General Electric plant to expand its manufacturing operations. Federal Education Secretary Betsy DeVos is awarding $59 million to the state to expand charter schools. Indiana is one of 9 states getting money. State Schools Superintendent Jennifer McCormick says the money will be spread out over 5 years and will benefit a minimum of 50 schools. It's intended to pay for students to attend charter schools and for planning and program design. Indiana's On My Way pre-K program is accepting applications from 10 new counties. The preschool program for low-income children was initially offered in just 5 counties, but lawmakers recently expanded it. Children in counties including Bartholomew, Howard, and Monroe can now enroll. Vigo County Council members haven't decided how to proceed with funding a new county jail or even how much the jail should cost. Council member Brendan Kearns says the council is seeking approval to fund an independent study on the county's prison and justice systems. The study would reassess the demand and potential cost for the new facility.
We want somebody to come in that has no ties to the community nor potential ties to making money off of the project when ground's broken, to come in and say, hey, this is what you need, or hey, this is what you don't need.
The jail is facing 2 lawsuits for overcrowding, and while Kearns says a new jail is needed to combat those issues, there's no federal mandate for the construction of a new jail. The County Council will hold its next meeting on October 10th to discuss the budget. A federal judge permanently struck down key portions of Indiana's controversial 2016 anti-abortion bill. The ruling includes a ban on abortions performed because of a fetus's characteristics such as race, gender, or disability, and a requirement that medical facilities bury or cremate all aborted or miscarried fetal remains. Public testimony in a legislative study commission on Indiana election laws this week focused on redistricting reform and a vote-by-mail system. Julia Vaughn, policy director for Common Cause Indiana, says redistricting reform is key to increasing voter turnout because gerrymandering creates too many landslide victories.
Indiana voters have shown they will participate when their involvement actually has an impact on the outcome.
Some at the hearing advocated for the vote-by-mail system where ballots are sent to the voter's home. The committee heard from an official in Colorado where that system has been implemented, but others say it might not be an easy fit for the state of Indiana. Fewer than half of Indiana's public school districts are participating in a free lead testing program. The Indiana Finance Authority created the program in response to lead contamination in East Chicago. The program tests schools' drinking fountains and ice machines. IFA's Environmental Programs Director says most schools will have some positive lead samples, but he stresses that doesn't mean schools should be overly worried.
It just means you might have to replace a faucet, you might have to post a sign above that sink to remind people that that particular sink is not for drinking water purposes.
57% of public school districts are not participating in the program, but some school districts are performing tests themselves. Terre Haute and the Indiana State University Police are partnering to respond to a growing number of parties that are spiraling out of control. Officials say 4 recent parties resulted in reports of gunfire, and in 2 cases, people were wounded.
So that's what we're trying to do, and if we go out in our patrols and there's nothing going on, then we'll stop them. But I think it's a good preventative thing for us to do and let people know we're doing it so they won't have these parties.
Classy says the 2 agencies plan to continue the increased patrols in the future. General Motors will use wind to help offset the energy needs of its Indiana and Ohio manufacturing facilities. The company recently signed 2 100-megawatt wind power purchase agreements with wind farms in Illinois and Ohio. While the plants will not directly receive energy from the wind farms, the electricity generated will be equivalent to the power needed to run the Fort Wayne, Marion, and Bedford plants in Indiana, as well as 4 plants in Ohio. Fewer than a dozen workers still remain at the Indianapolis Rexnord factory. About 65 employees worked their final shifts just this week. The plant is moving its production to Mexico and once had about 350 workers. President Donald Trump in the past has posted on Twitter blasting Rexnord's plans, similar to his attacks on big layoffs at the nearby Carrier Corporation factory. Terre Haute will receive about $636,000 from the state to help fund local road construction projects. The money will go in part to the reconstruction and rehabilitation of the downtown area. Part of the reconstruction has already been completed, and some of the grant money will reimburse the city for those costs. Assistant City Engineer Larry Robbins says the city has been trying for years to repair a road facing decomposing railroad ties.
It's a project that we've been trying to get done for several years, but due to the large cost estimate for that project, it was kind of hard for us to do it with our typical budget.
Robbins says the city will pay its portion of the grant from its Economic Development Income Tax Fund. He says once the next phase of construction starts, it should take about 60 days to complete. Brown County officials are weighing whether to welcome tiny homes to the community, but the discussion is only just getting started. Over the past year or so, the county has received several inquiries about the developments, but Plan Commission officials say there are several issues unique to Brown County to think about, including lot sizes and septic systems.
And I can see how people would want to live that way. Depending on where they are and the status of their life. But it's all about making it work within the environment that we have here in this county.
Tiny homes are typically less than 400 square feet and can be permanent or mobile. The current minimum square footage requirement in the county is 600 square feet. St. Mary of the Wood College in Western Indiana is reporting its highest fall enrollment since the early 1970s. The school welcomed 377 on-campus students this fall. The formerly all-women's college began admitting male students in 2015. University officials say male and female enrollment is up. Indiana University football coach Tom Allen says he would support his players if they chose to engage in a political protest. His comments during a press conference this week come after hundreds of NFL players sat, knelt, or raised their fists during the national anthem at games last Sunday in response to comments made by President Donald Trump. Allen says IU players are citizens first.
Whatever we do, it'll be out of respect for our country and our university and allow us to be united, because I believe in that we're all created equal, and the good Lord did that by design, and we'll all be together. That's what I believe.
During home games, IU does not stand on the sidelines during the national anthem. The team is set to play 2 other teams on the road this season that do stand on the field during the anthem. That's Michigan State on October 21st and Purdue on November 25th. This weekend, Joe, they square off against Penn State at Beaver Stadium.
Of course, if you're not watching the Hoosiers, I hope you have some other free time this weekend, because you can get in free tomorrow at all of Indiana's state parks and state recreation areas. It's in recognition of National Public Lands Day, the nation's largest single-day volunteer effort for public lands. The state's offering a number of volunteer opportunities. A lot of the parks will offer hikes, pioneer activities, crafts, and live bird shows. That's the end of this program, but our work continues online as we cover the news throughout the week at WTIUnews.org. Have a great weekend.
Indiana Newsdesk is made possible in part by the following: IU Health Southern Indiana physicians, primary care and specialty care providers, now accepting new patients in Bloomington and throughout South Central Indiana. siphysicians.org. The IU School of Education, preparing teachers, scholars, and administrators to improve teaching and learning in Indiana and around the world. More at education.indiana.edu. Smithville Fiber, the Gigacity Company, fiber internet, HD, and digital IPTV in Southern Indiana. More information at smithville.com. And by WTIU members. Thank you.